Hey Stillwater, welcome to episode 39 of the Still Connect podcast, the show all about our amazing town, Stillwater, Oklahoma. This is your spot to plug in, hear some great stories, and feel a little more connected to our amazing community and the people in it. I'm your host, Denver Evans. I grew up right here in Stillwater, where I run my business, Stillwater Digital Marketing. Still Connect is a local podcast where every week I share friendly chats with someone who's helping build community here in Stillwater. Now, this podcast is crowdfunded, so if you want to help share these local stories, consider becoming a subscriber on Patreon, where you can get a few perks like early access to episodes, sponsorship opportunities, and more. I would like to thank our current business subscribers, Renovate Stillwater, Film in Oklahoma, and our Stillwater patron, Darren Huddleston. Today's episode is going to be really great. I'm here with Kari Moore with the Chamber of Commerce. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Doing great. So give everyone kind of an overview of you and what you do here at the Chamber, and then maybe just kind of what the role of the Chamber is.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot, which is so exciting. So I am the Director of Economic Development here at the Chamber, which means that I have the privilege of working with all of our existing industries as well as our small businesses. And then I get to do the fun task of selling Stillwater and helping recruit new industry. So we're housed here at the Chamber. We have, I think Grace mentioned this on a couple of your podcasts ago, that we have a contract with the city of Stillwater to do economic development. So my obligation is truly to the community as a whole in the role that I have. Whereas a lot of Chamber staff, they're committed to Chamber members because it's a membership organization. And so I get a little bit of leeway in that of I get to work with anybody and everybody, which makes it really cool. And then I also get to help introduce them to all the benefits that are available and resources that are available to them through the Chamber to help them continue to be successful.
That's great.
Yeah.
So kind of walk us through that. What does it look like from initial contact to their move to Stillwater?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's so different every time. Like no two projects are the same. In theory, there's the traditional, what they call the RFI. So a company will say, hey, we want to expand, we want to relocate, we want to diversify, whatever it may be. They will reach out to a site selector organization, or they will hire somebody internally to help them with that process. Okay. Then what they'll do is they'll put out a request for information, the RFI. That will go out to whether they think they're looking at North America. It will go out to all North American states. Wow. Or they will say, hey, we're considering the Americas. Sometimes it's, hey, we are already in the U.S. We know we're on the West Coast. We need to expand into the Midwest. So really then they'll identify a region that they're looking for. Once that happens, there's a couple of different ways for communities to get plugged in. And this is where it's really hard for rural communities because if you don't have access to somebody or to what we have here in Stillwater, which is the contract with the city to have somebody specifically doing that, right, it's really hard to overcome. Yeah. So we'll talk about some things that we're doing to help some of our smaller communities around us later with that process. But once they decide a region, they'll connect with the state Department of Commerce, and there is a project portal through the state that you can do. Okay. So that's one avenue. And then like me, I have a login to the state portal. I can log in and say, okay, these projects are in our ideal company profile. They match what would work in our industry, our ecosystem. The other way, which is if everyone else is doing something one way, I want to do it the opposite way because that's how you stand out as a community. Yeah. So the other way is to identify what are your ideal company profiles. What are you looking for? What can your ecosystem of industry support and grow, but also allow diversification? So like if oil goes down, right, our whole town isn't in trouble, right? Yeah. So how do we do that? So that is where we have actually recently partnered with a company called the Global Site Location Industries. And what we have done with them is we've built a CRM tool, but additionally we are going to bring in our own projects, and then they also have their own projects that they bring in that maybe are not going through those state portals. So that's those one-on-one, how do we go out and find these companies? How do we go out and find these decision makers that would be a good fit for our community and bridge those conversations and do it in a roundabout way that maybe is a better fit for us and saves us time and energy. Both are really great methods. I think you have to be playing in both, but at the same time, if you're doing what everyone else is doing, you're not standing out.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure people know that Stillwater is unique in more than one way.
Yeah, so you don't just want to diversify your industries, but you want to diversify the way that you go about developing relationships with those different businesses within each of those different industries.
Yeah, because when you do the traditional RFI process, I mean, think about it like your spam emails.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, how do you stand out in that factor? Well, that's exactly what we're doing is we're trying to build a very intentional, true, authentic relationship with a company. And I've actually been fortunate as we've navigated that process. We've done really well. I'm so thankful for the relationship we have with Kingspan. That was not a traditional economic development project.
So Kingspan.
Yeah.
Maybe I saw Kingspan on the side of a building. What's Kingspan?
Kingspan is the newest industry partner in Stillwater that we're so excited to have here. They have been phenomenal partners, and I'm so excited to get them ingrained in our community. But they purchased the old Armstrong facility out off of Perkins Road towards the Turnpike.
Perkins and Airport. Just north of Perkins and Airport.
Perkins and Airport, before Richmond.
Yeah.
And so they are going to, as a company as a whole, they're a international conglomerate. I mean, they're huge. And they do building materials manufacturing. So primarily their strongest where they started was insulated panels. But what they're going to do here in Stillwater is they're going to manufacture insulation and then the waterproofing membrane for commercial roofs. So flat roofs, just like on this building or any of our commercial spaces, for apartment complexes, for schools.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to make.
Anytime you see a building that doesn't have a peaked roof.
Yes.
That's
it.
Yep.
So, and for me, it was very serendipitous. It was a very good sign, very good omen. Depending on what you believe in, I feel like it was a God thing. I came from commercial roofing before I had this position. And so for that to be my first project in the same building, that was my first big sale when I was in commercial roofing, felt like God was like, hey, you're where you're supposed to be. Here's cool. This omen to show you.
Yeah. So you sold to the people who owned Armstrong to basically update the roof?
Yeah. So that was, we worked with them to re-roof majority of that project. And then they ended up having to file bankruptcy, which was totally unfortunate.
Yeah.
We still got paid.
Right.
Thankfully, but
that's good.
Yes. And the building, I think one of the most underappreciated influencers for economic development is a good facilities manager, a good building manager.
Yep.
And I will sing Brian's praises all day long because he joined Armstrong at the tail end and helped turn that plant around a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And then when they shut down, he was actually kept on by the temporary owner to maintain the facility.
Yeah.
And he did such a great job that when Kingspan came in, that building was so easy to sell because it was in great shape.
Right.
And it was ideal for what they were wanting. So it was just a lot of really like the stars aligning.
Yeah.
But there's other times where that's not the case. And that's what we saw with USA Rare Earth. That building sat vacant for such a long time because the facility itself wasn't being invested in. So it was hard to get somebody else to see the opportunity.
Yeah. And then the building just deals with what they would normally deal with anyways, but then issues just aren't addressed over time.
Get worse.
Leaky roof.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's like car maintenance. You know what I mean? Just do the preventative maintenance. You're going to end up in the long run in a lot better shape.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because I mean, I feel like there are a lot of spaces in Stillwater that maybe we've seen for a while that are vacant. And obviously if those aren't being maintained, then they're not going to be as valuable when somebody does finally want to use it.
Because of the cost of having to then go back and fix it up. Whereas if you maintain it, you're going to stay vacant a lot shorter period of time, typically. Yeah. So it's a fun system to work within.
So tell us kind of your story. How did you go from wherever you started to this?
Oh my gosh. So I'm a transplant.
We have all the time.
Yeah, I'm a transplant. I grew up in Sacramento, the Elk Grove area, which is like the Sacramento area of Northern California. Graduated and took a semester off to kind of just explore, figure out who I was a little bit, and then decided to come to Oklahoma State. Came to OSU. I lived in good old Parker Hall on campus, and literally fell in love with Stillwater. I remember when I came to tour, I walked onto campus and I was like, this kind of feels like home. And then I just have never left. I've really refused to leave. I tried for a short period to move to the city, and I actually couldn't fully commit. I never got rid of my apartment here. And I would come back here on the weekends, and finally I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to school, and I'm going to stay in Stillwater. So through school, I had the opportunity to work for a commercial janitorial company, which was ideal because I could do classes during the day and then working and doing account management for them. That was all night work. Nobody else was there. I could walk buildings at night. Nice. So I got plugged in and got involved in a building owners and management association out of Oklahoma City called BOMA OKC. And that really, I would say, was the caveat to changing all things for my career.
Cool.
Had the opportunity to sit on that board. I would encourage anybody, if you ever get the opportunity to sit on a board, take it.
Just any board?
If it aligns with, if somebody sees something in you and they feel like you can contribute to what their mission is, trust that. Because I was like, why do you want me to come sit on this board? But somebody believed in me and they saw that I could bring value. I think Grace touched on this a little bit, in her session with you as well. And there is a way you can help and there is a way you can do something, but at the same time, you're learning from a lot of really awesome difference makers. Yeah. Or you have the opportunity to. So that really led into the opportunity I left commercial janitorial and I ran the Oklahoma division of a Texas-based security company. Okay. So it was all manned security. So I had 60 manned guards that did security all around the Oklahoma City metro.
So kind of just like account management, those types of things, just organizing the service.
Yeah, I was the branch manager. So I oversaw all the operations, all the hiring. I had all the relationships with our accounts. I did outside sales, so I recruited new companies. Yeah. So it was a great learning curve.
Security. You don't hear about that a lot.
No, and it was a lot of fun because there's not very many women in that industry. And I remember having a couple of interviews where a gentleman would walk in and they'd say, I'm here to meet with the branch manager. And I'd say, hi, I'm Kari. Nice to meet you. And they would go, oh. And like one guy was like a woman branch manager. Okay.
Wow.
So
interesting.
It's just a different industry. It's 24/7, 365 days a year.
Yeah.
So with small kids, that wasn't ideal.
I can imagine.
And I had the opportunity all through BOMA. Like each of these opportunities came through that association that I was involved in.
Okay.
Just meeting different people and them seeing potential. And I'm so thankful that they did because then that led to me getting into selling commercial roofs. And I was working with a lot of commercial real estate professionals, a lot of building investors, facility managers like Brian, right? And really learning about what it is that they need to make those properties successful, whether that's tenant relations or community relations or vendor relations, right? Like how does that network all work?
Right.
And then I had the opportunity to chair what at the time was the Young Professionals Board here in Stillwater. And I got to help with the transition of taking that from, as Elaine stepped in and at the chamber, we went from a board to a committee. Okay. And so we walked through that transition. And during that period, I was getting to sit on the chamber board and I got to watch Elaine's leadership and see what was happening here and what was happening with the rest of the team and what a difference that they were committed to making in our community and with our businesses. And Reagan, who had been in this role previously, she was moving and she texted me and said, hey, my job's going to be open. I think you should apply for it. Cool. And I'm like, that's really sweet. Thank you. I know nothing about economic development. Are you sure? And she was like, yes. And so we met, we talked through, and I've been fortunate to be mentored by really great people along the way. And Rebecca Eastham has been phenomenal. Roger Gose has been phenomenal. Elaine, obviously, Brady at the city, everybody willing to let me learn along the way and figure things out and that aren't too put off by maybe some out of the box ideas I have every now and then.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's good to get a fresh perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of the story. It was long.
Yeah. Well, so what does that training process kind of look like?
A lot of listening, which I feel like I'm doing more talking on this side. So that's a little bit weird for me. Yeah. But it's a lot of listening. It's a lot of listening to your businesses locally, meeting with your local industries and hearing what's going well, what's not going well, and then identifying patterns through all of those conversations. It's listening to workforce needs. It's listening to your community partners with Meridian, with Stillwater Public Schools, with OSU, and figuring out, okay, how do you make connections so that both needs are met and everybody's lifted together. Like my goal is to never be the expert. I don't want to be the expert in workforce. I don't want to be the expert in, recruitment or whatever that might be. What I want to be is the conduit that connects the experts and helps them learn from each other and learns from them along the way.
That's really great. I heard something one time is like when you're trying to solve an issue, if you go to an engineer, they're going to tell you that the solution is engineering.
Yes.
If you go to someone who is in a different field, they're going to tell you that their field is the solution. Maybe it's like marketing or something like that. It's like, oh, well, marketing's the solution. And I've seen time and time again, owning a marketing company, that I end up having way more conversations where I talk myself out of business than conversations where I talk anyone into working with me, just because I say, what are your issues? What are you struggling with? And they go, oh, I'm dealing with this. I'm like, okay, well, then you do have a workforce issue.
Right.
That's affecting your revenue. It's not that you need more people coming through the door, because if you did have more people coming through the door, they wouldn't be getting great service.
Right.
Which might be why you're not getting a lot of, returning customers or clients or something like that.
Yeah.
And so, it's definitely good to not want to be the expert.
Yeah.
Who says, oh, I'm the solution.
Well, then you build trust that way, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're not trying to be the person solving all their problems, you're just trying to connect them to solutions that may work. I feel like that's where I'm seeing the most trust is that, I don't know that I can solve your problem and I can't come in and do, help you fix your business overnight, but I may be able to help you connect with someone that will inspire you to do things a little differently. Yeah. And that's really where it comes in and exactly what you're talking about. So kudos to you.
Thanks. It's been a learning process.
Yeah.
And of course, never want to fully be the expert. So
yeah. Well, and a lot of times what I found is it's multiple things working together.
Yeah.
So like what you're saying, maybe we could improve marketing in these ways, but it's only going to go so far because we really need to work on your onboarding process so your employees are empowered to have good customer service. So it's like a combination of those things and figuring out how do you help them address each of those. Which is really part of where Small Business University came in.
So tell us about Small Business University.
Small Business University is my favorite program of the year.
Cool.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
You're fine. I'll cut that out. I'll cut all this out. Yep.
Thank you. So Small Business University came from really Elaine's 100 visits in 100 days, I believe. I wasn't fully on staff. So the first year that Small Business University was done, I wasn't a part of it. I've just been fortunate to work for years 2 and 3. And the idea really, or what she heard was, we have a lot of small business owners that have a dream. They want to open whatever it is that they want to open.
Right.
They get into it and they realize, I really don't know how to run a business. Like I am really good at making these things, or I'm really good at, customer service. I'm really good at whatever. But tying together all the aspects that it takes to be a business owner is really hard. And so we offer, it's through the summer, we partner with the Riata Center and with Meridian Technology Center. And we offer a summer program where business owners come in, it's about every other week, and we give core sessions. So we talk about, each year's a little different, but we've done hiring, we've done sales, we've done leadership, we've done HR, we've done marketing, we've done... I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. But anyway, so we do all these different skills. And really the goal for us at the end is that they walk away with things that they can apply to their business that aren't overwhelming to apply. And it's just one little step at a time to make it easier. And then they continue to build on that. So at the end of the program, if they have gone to 4 out of the 5 core sessions, they qualify to do a pitch competition. And the pitch competition is geared towards, what did you learn from Small Business University? How would you apply this to your business? And if you were awarded the money, what would it do to help you grow further?
Right.
And so, we've done it for the last couple of years, and we've seen really great results. If you've ever been to Bloom with Grace, they were in year 2, and she hadn't opened Bloom with Grace on Main Street yet. So that was really cool. It's been really encouraging to see where they've gone.
Yeah, I think they won. Didn't they win like best new business or something like that?
I think so. Yeah, in the news press. Yeah. So they've just done phenomenal things, and just run with it. And it's been really exciting to watch them. I mean, she had a great foundation already, but it was really exciting to watch her be through that program, and really, as she was considering opening it, gain some confidence.
Yeah.
And this last year, we really worked with the business owners on working on your business as opposed to in your business. And how do you tell your business's story? So when somebody asks you what I do, and I can tell you from the first session when we have everyone introduce themselves and then say what their business is and what it does, it was so awkward. Like, it was so hard for each of them to do that. And then at the very last session, we have them do it again, and night and day difference. They would say, hey, I'm so-and-so, this is my company's name, and this is what we do. And they had it was confident, you understood it. So it was really great to see people empowered and more comfortable in that role,
right?
As opposed to some like kind of imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I run into that all the time talking to people. What do you do? Oh, well, my business does this, and we sort of do this other thing too. And, as opposed to just like a really clean, like kind of elevator speech, as most people are familiar with hearing about.
Well, and sometimes when you do a lot of things, it's like, well, I'm Denver Evans, I've
ran into this problem personally because it's like, what do? We do marketing. Okay, well, what's marketing? Okay, well, it's, it's strategy, it's advertising, it's, content creation, photo, video, graphic design, drone photography. Like, at some point I start to bore people with like,
with all the things.
Here are all of the things we can do. Marketing is kind of a difficult avenue because marketing is such a broad word that is just kind of the medium in which you choose to connect with your audience. So kind of like we were talking about earlier, like you can improve your marketing, but if you have a workforce issue, then that's what it is. The example I like to use is like, we can get more people into your restaurant, but if your food doesn't taste good, then like they're not going to come back.
Right.
So the quality and the taste of your food is marketing, but that's not marketing that I help with.
Right. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's the experience.
Yeah,
because the experience is marketing.
Yeah. So there's a quote about like a circus, and it talks about all the different parts of a circus, and it's like if you put up your tent, that's one type of thing. If you put a banner on the front of it, that's advertising. If you put a sign on an elephant and walk it around town, that's promotions.
Yeah.
And just all these different things. And if you're the ringleader organizing all of it, then you're the marketer. So
very cool.
But so marketing.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I don't remember who the quote was from. I read it in a book, but I know that it wasn't the author of that book who wrote the quote. But so really good. Marketing is just so broad that like sometimes I have to go into the specifics of these are the parts of it that I do. Also, there's like your job of like just doing a good job in the business that I can't change. I can't cook your food for you. I can't build your house for you.
I am hearing you say essentially, I help people uncover where they have gaps in business, and then I identify whether or not I can help them improve those.
Well, that's kind of the discovery meeting,
right?
And even sometimes 3 to 6 months, a year down the line of just, hey, I'm noticing this problem come up. Okay, well, that's we can help communicate some of these things, but ultimately it's on the customer or the client to make that decision, or it's on you to kind of fulfill that service. I know I'm speaking super broad right now, but a lot of that's kind of in the discovery session. Again, I've talked myself out of business with people more than I've talked them into it. But
but you've probably saved yourself so much time and energy and frustration.
Yeah, and
relationships
and other people as well. So I had an old friend come up to me. This was, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years ago, and he said, "Hey, I want you to run my social media. I clean windows." And I was like, "Great. So we can do that. You'll probably want to clean a lot of residential windows, like just people's houses." He said, "No, I want to do commercial." I was like, "Okay. Well, you're probably going to end up wasting money with us if you tell me you want me to run your social media." And he was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, if you want to clean a strip mall, if you want to clean a commercial complex, then there's one person who's going to make that decision to hire you. And we might reach a lot of people on social media, but we probably won't specifically reach that person.
Yeah.
So I said, you could spend over 6 months, you might spend thousands of dollars with us. Over a year, you could spend $300-ish on a chamber membership because it's like just you.
Yeah.
And you can go to some events and you can like talk to
those decision makers,
business owners and decision makers and all those kinds of people and build those long-term relationships. Does that make sense? And he goes, yeah. Well, I would still like to work with you in some way if possible, just because I really, I think you do a good job. And we never ended up working together because it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And I didn't want us to eventually have a bad relationship.
Right.
Because, I was offering a service that might have been a good quality service. Like I could have performed 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
But what I do would not solve the problem.
Yeah. Well, and I think that what you're going to gain from that, though, is he's going to go, hey, you should talk to my friend Denver.
Yeah. And that's what we've run into is, oh, hey, I got your information from so-and-so, someone I never worked with, but had one of those kind of discovery conversations with.
Yeah.
So from a city perspective, how do you look at what the city needs and then look far into the future to address how can we address that future need through bringing a new business into town?
Yeah. So that's complex. It's so funny.
I know that was a super vague question.
No, it's
Answer
okay.
it however you want.
Yeah, no, it's great because economic development is, I'm just going to tell a quick story and then I'll dive into your question. You'll see why it all ties together.
Yeah.
So when I started, I had no background in economic development. So I had an idea of what I thought it was. Well, then I think it was 34 days into being in the role, I had to do the quarterly report to CETA, which is essentially city council on a different hat. And realized at that very first CETA meeting that each one of our city councilors also had their own idea of what economic development was, because it is such a broad, diverse industry.
Develop
and
the
it
economy.
means so many things. So the way that I think about economic development, it was really done through a training with PSO, is economic development is anything that creates, retains, or reinvests wealth, which can be a lot of things, including workforce, including retail, including industry, so our main focus here at the Chamber is through that contract with the city. So we sit down with the city annually and we go, okay, what do we need to be focusing on? Where are we hitting marks? Where are we missing? What should we be adding into this contract? What should we be taking out? And I'm really thankful for that partnership because as Elaine and I have really gotten our feet under us in the last couple of years, and I've really learned the industry, we've been able to look at it through different lenses and come to an agreement that is really good for our community. And so for us, identifying at the time, we had vacant buildings. So the old Armstrong, which is now Kingspan, we needed to get that filled.
Right.
That's huge because that's jobs that then once people have those better paying jobs, they can afford to go out to eat or to go shop locally or to do. So that creates tax revenue. Then additionally, long before I came in, I just got to help towards the tail end was the data center project. That project is going to be such a game changer for our community in so many beautiful ways. It's going to benefit our school system. So that's a different kind of project as to when we look at infrastructure, how do we find a company that we can partner with that has the ability not only to help us improve our infrastructure, but the willingness. And on top of that, isn't going to put too much pressure on our infrastructure. So infrastructure is everything from roads to water to utilities to housing to your school systems.
Right.
And so when you start to bring in, you hear communities that will bring in projects that are like 500 jobs. Could you imagine if we had 500 new people coming to our community? Like, where would they live? Where would their kids, you know what I mean? True. So some of those things we have to be mindful of is you've got to crawl before you walk and walk before you run. Yeah. And so looking at those partnerships with the city, it's going, what projects do we have coming up as far as infrastructure, what needs, and then what can we do to recruit projects or recruit industry that will generate the tax revenue and the tax base that we need to either continue or move into the next step. So it's kind of like chess.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I've never played chess.
Like 3D chess.
Like 3D chess, and I've never really played chess, but I assume that's what it would be like.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool. So back to your question as of like, how do you decide, is really looking at what's the community the loudest about. So was that, do we need better paying and higher paying jobs? Absolutely. So one of our core, strategic plan initiatives, thank you, is to raise our community income level.
Yeah.
We have a need for that in this economy. And so when I look at jobs, I feel like because that's one of our strategic initiatives, if the median income level of the company or the jobs coming in does not increase, is not higher than what we currently have, it's not a good fit for our community, and I don't spend my time on it.
That makes sense.
Because we need people to not only have jobs, we need them to have jobs that allow them to have a good quality of life.
Right.
And so
we don't want a lot of low-paying labor jobs or something like that.
Yeah, and all jobs are important, but
Right.
for our ideal company profile and what's important to our community, that's a deciding factor for us. And I am so thankful that we're in a position where we're not, like, some of our rural communities really have to take whatever they can get because they need something to get the ball rolling. I'm thankful I came in at a time where we get to be a little bit more choosy. That's not the right word, but that's the only one coming to me right
that's
now.
a great word. Yeah, I like that because kind of like you were talking about, like you have to stay in that zone. Are you familiar with the zone of proximal development?
No, tell me,
So,
teach me.
so I heard about it first talked about in context of like parenting, but basically like if you were playing a sport like basketball against your kid, and you have every ability to swat the ball out of their hand every time that they go for a shot, right?
Right.
You're not going to do that.
No.
That's
mean.
That's mean.
Yeah.
You also don't let them buy every time.
Right.
You don't give them every opportunity, but you challenge them to the point where they're performing at their absolute best, and then you let them take a shot.
Yeah.
And so, and that goes into education, that goes into how, a small business should operate. But like you're talking about in a community, like we have this level where we could really kind of like overdo it by bringing in too many jobs at one time or pursuing too many of those avenues at one time. And then all of a sudden we have a major infrastructure problem.
Yeah.
Or on the other end, we could be almost like too choosy and not let anything in.
Yeah.
And so what is the balance of bringing in those things at a level and at a rate where it helps our community grow and thrive at the same time? Because there are a lot of things, you don't just dump an entire bucket of fertilizer on a plant.
No. Yeah.
And you also don't go, oh, you know what? I bet if I don't water it, it'll just learn to be tough.
Yeah, exactly. No, it will shrivel up. Yeah, exactly. That's a couple of really great analogies. I want to look into, what was that called? The proximity of?
Zone of proximal development.
Zone of proximal development. I like that. So for us, it was really identifying a strategic plan and core values, and then also meeting with community members and community leaders who had really great historical knowledge. Like Mike Woods, for example, who sits on the chamber board, has been phenomenal. I'm so thankful for him because he gets it from so many different levels, and he's been here for so long that he knows where we've done well and where we could have done better.
Yeah.
And so that's that historical knowledge that's so important, but also looking at, it's gotta be a combination. So like you said, you don't pour all the fertilizer on one plant. You spread it out in a garden. So for economic development, that's quality of life, right? So that's looking at, I know that Brady, our city manager, has been working on the Rails to Trails program for years. Like that's going to be a huge quality of life improvement for people who really value walkability. Then you look at Block 34. I know you've interviewed Steve Irby and Kicker and Simmons, and we're so thankful for that public-private partnership that made that possible. And that took people who were invested in the community and the city working together to make that happen, that we're all going to benefit from. And then you also have, the industry. So we've talked about recruiting, the data center project. We've talked about Kingspan and Rare Earth and what's happening with National Standard and ASCO and all of those. So that north side of town where you've got industry development. But then you also have an aspect of connectivity. And that's where the airport really comes in. And I cannot give Kelly Reed and Christy Morrison and OSU and, the city enough credit for all the work that has happened behind the scenes to make this project, and that resource and that tool available to our community. So when you say, like, how do you decide, does it fit in that ecosystem that I just laid out? And does it expand that ecosystem in some way and make it better? Or are we going to be in a place and really being able to ask the questions of, is this too much of one thing? Is it not enough of another?
Right.
And then does it align? Is it sustainable? So sustainability is a huge part, because it's really easy to want. Economic development is a long process, and it seems like in the last few years we've had a lot of wins that have come really close together. But those wins started, and those projects and those opportunities started a long time ago.
Yeah. And maybe even at drastically different times.
Very different times.
Yeah.
And so, like, the Kingspan project is such an anomaly because it did happen so quickly. They came out, and that building was in great shape, and it was laid out to what they needed it to be laid out.
So when did that start? Like, when was kind of first contact with them?
So I started in February of 24, and it was right about that time that we got a call from the listing agent that said, hey, we've got somebody that is interested in this building. And that one didn't start in a traditional way. They found the building first, and then they came to us.
Yeah.
And so that one was like a month into me being in this role.
Yeah.
So that one happened very quickly.
Yeah, so 24 to late 25.
Yeah.
Basically 18 months.
They closed on that building in 2025.
Okay.
So they came and saw it, in 2024.
Okay.
They came and saw it, and I think it was in March, and then closed on it later, a couple months later.
Wow.
And then have been working.
Yeah, so they were ready to go.
They were ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not every project's that way. That's, like I said,
Yeah.
that's the anomaly. I wish they were all that way.
Right.
But then you look at, like, the data center project. That started in 2018.
Yeah.
Of just putting in information about land opportunities. And so, and then we've seen, like, USA Rare Earth is really ramping up, but that's been a long process for them. And I'm so thankful that they've stuck it out, and they have leadership and team members that believe in their mission, because then Stillwater can believe in them too.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that's really great.
Yeah.
So what are some things kind of moving into, sorry, let me back up. Could you kind of describe what phase we're in? Because you've kind of mentioned, moving to the next phase.
Yeah.
But from a maybe just a individual community member perspective, someone who's, just driving to work right now, listening to this, what kind of is the phase that Stillwater's in? Because we hear a lot of, like, one-off conversations, and we hear silly things like, we have too many chicken restaurants and car washes, and those kinds of things. And of course, those things are not necessarily in the control of the chamber. It's kind of just like, if there's land and someone wants to open something, then it just has to be zoned correctly, and they can kind of
they don't have to come to the city or the chamber at all.
They can just move in and pop up and do what they're going to do. But we hear a lot of, like, one-off conversations about this thing's coming in here and that thing's coming in there. What's kind of the broad vision moving forward?
I think our mayor said it best when he said that we're in an economic development renaissance. That's truly what it feels like. So as far as, like, where we are right now, I would say we're in a renaissance period, which is really exciting.
So what was it like before that?
Before that, I think there were a lot of good people with a lot of really good intentions, but maybe weren't in the right seat on the bus, or didn't communicate effectively.
So we're in alignment.
We're in alignment.
Kind of like when you said you found out that all of them kind of had a different, or like, what did you say was it the city council?
Yeah. So everybody has a different idea of what's important. And
Right.
I will say the best thing, and the thing I feel most fortunate about being in this role, is that all of our community partners are truly partners. I go to conferences and to trainings where I hear from other communities that do not have that experience. And they're like, oh my gosh, we have to fight to just do this, or we have to trying to get anything rezoned, or trying to, and I'm sitting there quietly because I don't want to brag. But at the same time, I'm like, y'all, I cannot relate to you because in Stillwater, we all work together. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I will say that historically we've come a long way, and there's been a lot of people even prior to me coming on, like I can't take credit for that in any way, that realized we've got to work together if the end goal is going to be prosperity and also be a community where people want to raise their families. And, we have OSU graduates that leave and come back because they realize this is the place that feels like home. Even if they didn't grow up here, like I'm a prime example of that. I didn't grow up here, but this is home, you know? And I knew it the minute I got here, and it's just the culture of the community. So if that's what we want to maintain, we have to have things that they can come home to. We have to have quality jobs. We have to have parks. We have to have family entertainment, which, so a lot of that it's been a growing path, and it has not happened because of one person. It's a lot of different people. And I will say I've watched people let go of past hurts to work with somebody that maybe they hadn't been able to work with in the past. So I think that that's really cool too. Yeah,
that's really great. So what are some ways that just kind of everyday community members can support the economic development of Stillwater?
Things like this, listening to your podcast. Like, I know that seems silly, but it's not. Like, if you're not telling your story, somebody else is telling it for you. So for me, I'm thankful that you decided, hey, I want to tell Stillwater's story from this perspective. Things like this matter. Shopping local, spending your tax dollars here, looking at, I know that sometimes, especially as we're coming into the holidays, I don't know when this is going to air.
I think late November.
Okay. So as you go into the holidays, there was a season of my life where I wanted to shop local. I believed in shopping local, but financially I was like, I got to find the best deal. However, if you can allocate $150 of your budget, your holiday shopping budget, to some local businesses, that makes a huge difference. Inviting people to the community. If you have friends, instead of always going somewhere else, saying, hey, did you hear we have live music on Block 34? Do you want to come down for the weekend? Those are things that people can do. And then also having a mindset of opportunity. I think it's really easy, given the current state of the world and the nation, to feel dread and doom. And I think we live in this really great place where people are loving and kind, maybe not perfect, and we have mistakes that happen, and there's definitely always ways to improve. But instead of just complaining, being willing to say, how can I help? So those are all things people can do.
Yeah. I mean, so kind of the big two: stay informed, stay invested.
Yeah. A big two. Exactly. Yeah. So I wish I had more, or something like out of the box, but really it comes back to the basics. It's like sports, you got to work on fundamentals. Yeah, true. And I think, we live in such a globalized world where it's really easy and tempting to just be like, I'm going to hop on Amazon and buy this thing. And it's not that, Stillwater can't provide everything for everyone. Right. So there are those times, but we live right in between Oklahoma City and Tulsa, so we pretty much have everything we need for a good quality of life within arm's reach of Stillwater, for sure. And Wichita is kind of underrated in terms of like, it's right there too. Yeah. I do love Wichita.
Yeah. So, they're kind of all the, 3 major metropolitan areas within hours of Stillwater. Yes. And so, but yeah, just figure out where you can buy stuff local. We love seeing local businesses. No one likes driving down Main Street and seeing an empty storefront. No. Everyone likes driving down Main Street and going, oh, there's a new thing there. That's really great. But yeah, they're, our small businesses need help. And I really like the idea that you said where you just allocate a portion of it, because that's easy. Yeah. That's super easy. Yeah. To just say, hey, here's our budget. And most people, their Christmas budget's way over $150.
Right. So like for me, in those early stages, it was really, I had my son really young. I was a young single mom. My family was in California. I was here. Like, I didn't have a lot of support. Right. Yeah. And I had a lot of support. I shouldn't say that. I didn't have a lot of financial leniency. Yeah, right. Right. And so I always said, I'm going to always buy our Christmas ornaments locally. That's it. That's where I started. So if you can just start somewhere small, over the years, it's been, okay, I can buy, we try to do, something you need, something you read, something you want, something you wear. Those are the 4, like, how we allocate Christmas presents.
That's awesome.
So if I can cover, now I'm at a point in life where I can cover those locally. Sometimes I can't, but if you're just mindful of taking baby steps.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also just kind of like, upcycling. I don't know if that's the right word, but just, kind of thrifting. Like my wife and I, we like to check out the thrift stores. We started a VHS collection recently, just kind of for fun,
Yeah. I've got some for you then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We're moving.
Yeah. There are just, there are so many, just like even, so for those of you, you don't see this on this side of the camera, but my podcast case, I wanted something where I could, collect everything, have it in one case, have it super organized. And I knew I needed a box, and I looked online and I was like, I could buy an equipment box, or I could buy a really cool vintage suitcase from a local thrift shop. Shout out to Memory Lane Vintage Mall.
Hey, they did Small Business University.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go. So I knew what I was looking for. I knew what size I needed, and I just went around to, local shops until I found what I needed. Yeah. And so, furniture, whatever it is, there are items that you want that you could buy on Amazon, or you could drive 10 minutes. Yeah. You're probably already out and about in town. So,
I love it. And your case is cool. So I would challenge that sometime after this airs, take a picture and post it. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I've been meaning to for a long time.
It's very cool. It was like, I think it's the first compliment I gave you when I saw you set up with Grace. I was like, that is so cool.
Oh.
So,
It's been good.
Yeah, so this has been great. What else? Anything else I can cover? You want to know?
Last thing, what is your favorite thing about Stillwater?
It's the intangible. It feels like home. People are kind here. They're welcoming here. I moved here in January of 2011, and at the time, Stillwater looked very different than it does now. Yeah. And my parents still live in California. They come visit a few times a year. And every time they come, that's the thing that my mom holds on to. So when we first moved here, we went to go eat on Main Street, and really our option was Louis. And the Beatery was open. And so we went next door to the Beatery. And that was really like, there wasn't a whole lot else to do downtown. Yeah. And my mom has said more than once how much Stillwater has grown, but what hasn't changed is that feel. And so that's my favorite thing. And that's the thing that I feel we are so mindful of in economic development projects. Are anybody we recruiting, do they fit into that? Like, do they truly want to be good community partners? And if we don't get that experience, we don't get that relationship, it's not being built, they're not the right fit for our community. And so I would say that's my favorite thing.
Yeah, because you don't want to lose the culture.
We don't.
We don't want to lose what we've developed.
We don't want to be, we love Oklahoma City, and we love Tulsa, and we love, Frisco, and we love Austin. But each of those have their own personalities. We want to be Stillwater's personality. We don't want to be any of those. We want to be us. So that's the thing that I would say I love the most.
Well put.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. This was exciting. Yeah. So great.
Thanks for tuning in to Still Connect. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Kari. Be sure to check out the Chamber on all of their social media, linked in the show notes below, as well as the podcast social for highlights, updates, and more. And be sure to share the podcast with all of your Stillwater friends so that we can grow the podcast and our community. If you love hearing Stillwater stories come to life, I would really appreciate your support on Patreon. For a subscription starting as little as $5 a month, you can help grow the podcast, plus get early access to episodes, behind-the-scenes looks, and a shout-out on the show. Higher tiers let you submit questions for upcoming guests, receive podcast merch, and even appear on an episode yourself. Every bit of support helps grow this community and keeps local stories front and center. Together, we can keep Stillwater connected, one conversation at a time. Speaking of which, I would like to thank our current business subscribers, Renovate Stillwater, Film in Oklahoma, and our Stillwater patron, Darren Huddleston. And remember, we all need community, so even when life gets busy, make sure you still connect.